By having what I call the 5 pillars in intentionality every day, which is health, wealth, personal growth, relationships, and then business in check on a daily basis where we're just tweaking. I mean, you're not going to have everything running smoothly every day because life happens as we know it. But with intentionality, if you can focus on each of those pillars, as I call them, on a daily basis and just make baby steps towards that. Maybe it's just hydrating a little bit more every day in order to keep, because we're living longer, but why not live better? What are you putting into your day that you can look forward to? So no matter what's happening at work, there's some joy in your life that you say it's worth it.
Hi, this is the Mortgages Made Easy podcast. I'm Dave Steinberg, and I'm joined today by one of my favorite realtors, who's coincidentally named Steinberg, actually not related, but Orly Steinberg is one of the top realtors in the country, and she's with Keller Williams in New Jersey, and she's the author of a new book called The Mindset Reset for Real Estate Success, but it's really geared to anyone who's self-employed. Orly, tell us a little bit about the thesis of the book and what you're teaching people.
So after about 35 years of being a realtor and grinding and striving and building a business and raising 3 small daughters who are now all thankfully married and happy, and having a marriage and trying to live a life, I realized that as I was coaching other realtors, that they were working and grinding and striving so hard till 11 and 12 o'clock at night and didn't have a life and really weren't even doing that much business. So it occurred to me that the life lessons that I learned along the way should be put into a book to allow people to learn from my mistakes and my wins in order to have what I call work-life harmony, because there is no such thing as balance, but there can be work-life harmony with a lot of points that are implementable, tools that I initiated in my career and my life, boundaries in order to give myself a life and leverage. So all of those things were put into a book that I'm now doing mastermind workshops with people one-on-one and by Zoom to allow them to really have a whole life and a whole existence, because there's no way, if your health is not good and you've got a backache or a leg ache, that you're walking into a listing appointment or showing houses and you could be fully present and fully intentional because you're in pain, frankly, or you just had a blowout fight with your partner and you're not going to go into the office and be able to lead gen in a very effective way if that's weighing on you. So by having what I call the 5 pillars in intentionality every day, which is health, wealth, personal growth, relationships, and then business in check on a daily basis where we're just tweaking. I mean, you're not going to have everything running smoothly every day because life happens as we know it. But with intentionality, if you can focus on each of those pillars, as I call them, on a daily basis and just make baby steps towards that. Maybe it's just hydrating a little bit more every day in order to keep, because we're living longer, but why not live better? And by keeping all those things in check, you can then become a much more successful person because you're focused.
And you're measuring success by how you do across all 5 pillars.
100%. You could be making $5 million in income, but if you don't have relationships and people in your life and your health is not being taken care of, none of it is worth it, as we have all seen as the older we get.
Yeah. One of my buddies used to call it a checkup from the neck up.
Oh, I like that.
Periodically, you would ask yourself, how am I doing with my honey? How am I doing with my money? How am I doing with my spiritually? Am I in a place where I'm spiritually grounded? So I love what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And it's not about perfection, but it's about balance.
Exactly. And it starts with a choice. In fact, one of my favorite quotes is choice, not chance, determines your destiny. And it starts with literally the choice of what am I going to open my eyes in the morning? And what am I going to do right afterwards, except for pick up my phone, which is the worst thing that you could do. And with my gratitude journal and my savers from Hal Elrod's practice. So by the time I'm raring to go, I am really grounded in myself, and my roots, both spiritually and mentally and emotionally, are grounded deep into the ground. So no matter what happens during the day, and God knows in real estate, you could have 3 deals falling apart within 3 hours, and you can negotiate multiple offers the next hour. You don't know what's coming, and you will be shaken, but not fallen. And that's the key.
So give us a couple of ideas. Like, what are you recommending for, what are some of foundational ideas? I got from you what you just said, the way you wake up with intentionality is an important feature of how you manage your day.
And gratitude. So no matter what's happening, I always bring it down to the simplest form of right now, right this minute, am I okay? And the answer is always yes, because right at this minute, if you're not thinking about the anxiety of what's to come or what happened in the past, but right this very minute, you're okay. So if you bring it down to those kind of basics, it grounds you, and you have less stress about the world and your business and all of those things, because you can handle what's in front of you right now. Always, because you've proven it by surviving up till now.
Okay, so you wake up in the morning, you don't look at your phone. I probably violate that because I do. But you don't look at your phone. You think about gratitude, and then you ground yourself.
So what I do is I do a combination of the savers from Hal Elrod's Miracle Morning. So I actually get on a treadmill, which allows my oxygen to flow. I get my exercise in for about 20 minutes, and I'm listening to either a podcast that's relevant to what I need to listen to that day or want to listen to, or an audiobook. So I'm putting already in my mind a mindset of something positive while I'm getting my exercise. And then I step off, and the first thing I do is I go to my gratitude journal and what my intentions are for that day. And then I have an email practice to 5 other women in my tribe around the country of our wins. So we always share our wins from the day before and what our wins are going to be that day. And that comes from the book, The Gap and the Gain, because especially overachievers and the rest of us always focus on what I didn't do. What didn't I accomplish? Where have I failed? So it kind of changes your mindset to what have I accomplished? And even if it's one small thing, it's a win. And I can go to bed that night saying, I have a win, and it's okay. Life is good.
So would you mind if I put you on a spot? Tell me something you're grateful for right now.
Oh, that is so easy. So one of the things I'm grateful for every day is, and I write this every day, is Aaron's love and support. Our beautiful family and friends, our beautiful home that opens its arm, is welcoming to anybody that wants to come in. For the fact that I have a thriving business, that I am respected, loved, and revered in this industry. So these are just things that I wrap myself in, knowing that no matter what, I'm good.
Yeah. And you know, the fact is that if you put things into perspective, because as you said, you're one of the best realtors I know. We've known each other for 20 years. And but I'm sure that every once in a while, the buyer backs out of a transaction, the appraisal comes in low, the seller goes with another realtor for some ridiculous reason, and now you're upset. How do you reset?
I'm so glad that you asked that question, because I have a very difficult seller right now. I actually think there's medical mental issues there. And my broker actually had to step in as well. So it's a very contentious situation. And I always go back to, I have a home. At the end of the day, if this does not come to be, it will not affect my life one iota, which I remind myself. I have everything I want and need. This will be a blip in my life. It's got to be more important to the client than it is to me. This client is moving in July to another state, needs to sell their home, is putting every obstacle in her own way. So at the end of the day, I learned this from a very dear friend of ours, Patrick Lilly. I detach from the outcome. I am detached from the outcome. No matter what, I have a beautiful home to go to with a wonderful husband that supports me. However, the challenge is to get her to the closing table, because that's the challenge, as opposed to just giving up. But if you can detach yourself from the outcome, the stress level is not there.
I have to tell you, Orly, that I have the same conversation sometimes with my staff members. And I often say to them, and I actually had them change their language, because they would call you up and say, Orly, I need a document from you. And that put them in the position of need. And so we changed it to, Orly, if you're going to close on time, we're available to help you get the following things done. And now it's not that I need and you're doing something because I need it. It's that you need and I'm here to help you.
Exactly.
And you lose whenever you need something more than the other guy. It's just human nature.
We are the professional, experienced conduits to get somebody from where they wanted to be to where they want to go. As I tell my sellers, I did not knock on your door and say, you have to move because I need a commission. You came to me with a need and I'm here to help you. And if that need has changed, that's fine. There's other people who need me. But by being detached from the outcome, which is very hard for many, many people and realtors to do, because they're so attached to the outcome, almost sometimes in a desperate way. So once you take that desperation out of it and you take yourself out of the quotient and do your job professionally and elegantly, most of the time it works out.
That's great. That's great. What are some other pointers?
Boundaries. So I do not answer my phone after 7:00 at night. I will not engage with you. And it's interesting how after all these years, rarely does a client reach out to me. And if I do respond, they're so honored and because I did respond. And it's not even something that I say or put out there. It's just kind of like it's become my demeanor, where you wouldn't call your doctor after a certain time either. They just know that everything was handled between 9 and 5, and we'll spill a little bit over in case. And tomorrow's the next day. But I think a lot of realtors feel that they're more important than they really are. And it's because of maybe sometimes their need for something to close or their need to be self-important, where a client will text them only because they wanted to go to bed and not forget the point. They didn't, mean to engage with you at that time, but there's the realtor jumping up and starting to engage with them, where most of the time there are no real estate emergencies. No one's dying on the operating room table because you did not respond at 9:00 at night to how much was the square footage of that house. So if we can pull ourselves back a little bit and become a little bit more professional and put boundaries in place, you might actually be more present with your family and friends when you're with them and handle everything the next morning, refreshed, energized, and possibly in a better way.
It's interesting because I have a totally similar but different take on this. And my take, as you know, I'm an Orthodox Jew. And so I will not do any work from sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. And I even, if you were to come up to me in the street and say, what's happening to interest rates? I do my damnedest not to respond to that on the Sabbath.
Right.
That's my boundary.
Yes.
But the rest of the time, I'm a blender. And, there are times when I'm with my wife in the car and we're driving, let's say, somewhere. I'll take your call because that doesn't interfere with my life. And it allows me to take more time when I want it. So I do both. I have a boundary and I have a blend. But I get it. I love the fact that you have a 7 o'clock boundary for work.
And I will deviate from it on exception, but I have found that 90% of the time, it's realtors reaching out.
Mm-hmm.
And because they don't have the boundary. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really not critical. So they can go into voicemail, they can text me, and then I could decide whether to respond or not, because if it's that important.
Mm.
But those are some of the boundaries that I think you have to put in place to protect yourself.
We're in a turbulent time in the world.
Mm-hmm.
The craziness of American politics right now, the all the stuff that's going on. How do you stay detached from that and present at let's say, a listing appointment?
Well, the first thing is I don't listen to the news.
Oh.
So that's something that I have decided a long time ago, probably in the beginning of COVID, where I was tired of hearing how many people were dying. I A, didn't believe the numbers, B, didn't serve me, nothing I can do to help them. So whatever's happening in the world, it's not something that I can affect, which doesn't mean that I'm not aware and find my own sources of news when I choose to. But that is one thing that I do is a practice. I do not listen to the news. I also am very good at compartmentalizing. Mm-hmm. So if something is affecting me in my life, whether it's personal or going around, I can mentally put it in a box, put it on a shelf, and visit it later so I can 100% be focused on what I need to be focused on at work. And that's a practice. It's hard to do because when I coach clients on that, I realize it's something that I can do innately, but not everybody can do that. But it's what you allow to come into your mind. So maybe you have to distract yourself with something else, something positive. In fact, no matter what's happening during the day, I try to have something joyful waiting for me at the end of the day, such as I take
That's a great idea.
Well, yes, because no matter what's going on, you have that to look forward to, and you remind yourself, wow, I have a life. And I have something positive in it. So on Mondays, I do pottery for 3 hours. And I cannot touch my phone when I do pottery because it's dirty, obviously. Can't answer it. And I'm doing something that I'm not used to doing. So I have a child's mind. I'm in a Zen mode where I'm going to be creating something, and it's sometimes challenging, but because it's challenging, you're so hyper-focused, you really can't think about anything else. So find something that gives you joy, whether, for some people it might be golf. For me, it's my pottery, going out to dinner with friends. So doing yoga practice on Thursday morning, scheduling a massage on Fridays. So I know that my week is not just filled with appointments and work, it's filled with joyous things. I pick up my granddaughter now on Tuesday afternoons. So that's my boundary.
Isn't that great?
Yes, it is wonderful.
It's worth having kids to have grandkids.
100%. So what are you putting into your day that you can look forward to? So no matter what's happening at work, there's some joy in your life that you say it's worth it.
To end this, what are 3 ideas that you'd share with our realtor community right now? If you were going to tell somebody 3 things that they could do to improve their life tomorrow, what would it be?
Start getting into good habits with your life. The business will flow. If you're not a disciplined person, then be where your feet are. Meaning, I come into the office every day at 8:30. I'm here to work. For those of you that are working from home, it's hard for me to believe that you don't have distractions. And sometimes we welcome those distractions from what we actually have to do. So be where your feet are. When you're at work, work. When you're at home, be home. Because we tend to blend the two. And then we're going 24 hours, but not really concentrated on either one as effectively as we should be. So that's a big for me.
So that's one.
That's one. Relationships, find your tribe. Find the people in your life that you aspire to be, that make you spiral up, that support you with their whole hearts, that you can call and say, I'm having a really bad day, because your community can't hear it. You're somebody of stature. Your clients certainly shouldn't be hearing it. So find your community. And I have a few communities that I belong to that really support and fill me up with everything that I need when I need it. And it's a pleasure to give back to them. And I find joy in that as well. So community and relationships are huge as well.
Love it. As always, I'm in your debt. This has been so much fun. Again, if you don't mind holding up the book, it's
Pleasure. You can find it on Amazon. Just put in my name. If you forget the title, just put in Orly Steinberg on Amazon, and I'm welcome any phone calls regarding that, and happy to get on a Zoom with a group of people as well.
That's great. That may be a great idea. Maybe we should talk about that. This has been the Mortgages Made Easy podcast, and I'm Dave Steinberg, and this has been a great session with Orly Steinberg. Look her up. She is a force of nature, one of the great realtors in the country, top 20 in my book, and somebody who you can really learn a lot from. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, always.